We are about 10 miles from Chico in Butte County. I am going to talk fish and water with Ted Trimble of the Western Canal Water District. Ted, set us up. Where are we standing right now?
We are standing about dead center in the middle of our 60,000 acre water district. This right behind us is our main irrigation canal.
And when you say water district, what is the purpose of a water district? What are you guys doing here?
Basically, we're delivering irrigation water to agricultural lands. And in this district, about 90% of the lands is rice.
So we'll add rice in there. So you're dealing with water, rice, and fish. For years, you have voluntarily, or your district has voluntarily done certain things to help protect fish.
We did. About 15 years ago, we did about a $9 million project on Butte Creek. We partnered with the federal government and some urban water agencies, as well as some local landowners, to remove 4 dams on Butte Creek. That opened up about 25 miles of unimpeded flow. Now, Butte Creek is important because it's only one of 3 remaining tributaries to the Sacramento River that support a spring-run Chinook salmon population.
And you say you removed those dams. Why is that important for fish? I mean, common sense tells me why it's important, but what does that do in terms of helping the fish?
Well, the dams all had fish ladders, but the fish ladders were designed and built in the 1940s. They weren't considered state-of-the-art in today's comparison, but anytime you have something blocking passage for fish, it's an impediment. So by removing those dams, it allowed the fish to scoot by, without having to navigate a fish ladder.
And why is it important to protect the fish? What's the big picture? Why are you guys doing this as a water district?
Well, if the fish are suffering, that means our water supply is suffering. And so if we can help the fish out, it secures the reliability of our water and allows us to continue servicing the agricultural industry.
We are in Chico at a California success story. Actually, Butte Creek is the California success story, and I am with Clint Garmen. You are with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. What makes this creek a success story, Clint?
Well, in terms of fish numbers, historically from about 1967 to 1991, we only averaged about 360 fish returning from the ocean into Butte Creek. And since the inception of the restoration projects involving lots of participants, we're averaging anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 per year.
So that's a huge increase in numbers. You're obviously doing something right, right here. What are the different projects that have contributed to that increase in the fish population?
Sure, there's lots of collaborative stakeholders involved, anywhere from taking out dams to, as what you see in the background, which is a fish screen to keep little juvenile fish from being entrained and going out into agricultural fields. And the idea is the water going downstream for ag use is fish friendly, and any fish that's caught in this ag ditch would go back out into the creek. And there's multiple projects like this from here on down through Butte Creek with over $50 million spent.
Clint, why is it important to protect fish in this area? In the big picture, well, first of all, what different types of fish are you protecting? And quite frankly, why does it matter?
Sure. The fish that we're most interested in here is the spring-run Chinook salmon. Butte Creek is one of only 3 creeks that still harbor a self-sustaining population, and it's important because they're listed under the endangered species list. It's under a big spotlight in California. This is the last best stronghold of spring-run Chinook salmon left in the whole state of California.
Right here at Butte Creek?
Right here in Butte Creek.
Wow. And you call it a tributary of the Sacramento River. Can you give us kind of a lesson on what that means?
Sure. The headwaters of Butte Creek originate maybe 30 miles upstream of here. And as Butte Creek comes down into the valley section, it runs about 90 miles, and then it connects with the Sacramento River just upstream of where the Feather River comes into the Sac.
Okay.
And that's how our returning adults make it back to Butte Creek. They come from the ocean, find Butte Creek water,
okay,
and then swim up the creek and do their thing and spawn.
So this is a very special area of water for salmon.
Yes, these fish are honed in to return to Butte Creek and Butte Creek only. We have very little strays in our spring-run population.
We are at Butte Creek, which is a tributary off the Sacramento River. It's also a place that is celebrating 20 years of salmon recovery success.
We came to Butte Creek with the goal of restoring the ladders, fish screens, implementing in-stream flows, looking at putting adult exclusion barriers in to cut down on the strain, changing fishing regulations, and really put together a system-wide restoration plan to benefit fish. And immediately in 1998, we had 20,212 fish return. So almost as we started beginning the restoration, we were seeing response by fish.
The success is more than just about salmon. The success of this project centers around the fact that proactive leadership allowed people and organizations, often with differing interests, to come together to divert water for the benefit of not only the fish, but the farms and other species that coexist on the Pacific Flyway.
Southern California gets its water from different places, from the Colorado River, from Northern California, and we found that the best way to keep that water supply stable and functioning is to invest in the area where it comes from. So we invest up here at the source of that water. We invest in the environment, we invest in the people, and we invest in our relationships.
This is about cooperation. This is about bringing people together. It's a tough task in these times because all over this country, we've tended to fragment, to come apart, to get into adversary positions. What we've got to do, and the instructive importance of this project is, we can make it working together, listening to each other, thinking carefully about the intersection of common interests, patient, intense, creative. The importance of what took place here 20 years ago is that this was the first successful example of dam removal to facilitate fish passage really anywhere in the United States. And it took place here because the farming community, the local communities, the environmentalists, and the local officials all kind of came together and in a sense of trust and transparency, we're willing to take a risk. They were willing to say, this could really work. We don't have much precedent for it. We are taking a risk, but it could be something really great. And they were right. They took the risk. There wasn't any precedent. They did it carefully, collectively, and this is the result. It's a spectacular success in terms of spring-run salmon. The siphon system serves the water community, and of course, the economy of the entire area.